In this video, we're going to show you how to install the lateral link on your Ford Taurus located in your rear suspension. Using our 19mm socket, we're going to get loosened and remove our lug nuts. With the lug nuts removed, you can go ahead and grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Now that we have our rear wheel off, our lateral link is located right here, bolted to the front portion of our knuckle. Now we're going to use an 18mm deep socket to go ahead and loosen and remove this knot. And what I'm doing is I'm loosening and tightening this here to get this loose, off. Now there's a little bit of tension on this here. Pop that up and out. So our lateral link goes inside of the frame here in the back. And you're going to access the head of the bolt right down here. So here is our rear coil spring right here, and then we have our CV axle that runs left to right here, and then you're going to access the bolt here. Now I'm going to use a deep socket. You can use a shallow socket, but you're definitely going to want an extension to run yourself beyond the rear control arm here. And we want to do this by hand. The reason for that is that the nuts on the inside of the frame you do not have access to, and these are held in by a small metal cage that secures the nut in place. The nut is not welded, so if you use an impact gun, you can tear that cage free, and then your nut is stuck in there. You're probably going to have to drop the fuel tank to gain access to any of that. So if you use your ratchet, you should be able to do some light pressure, a little bit of torque, and loosen that. Now we're able to also access the side of the frame over here, or the subframe, and spray the nut side with some rust penetrant. You do not have a lot of room to get that bolt. Literally just kind of grabbing the head of it, maybe use the tips of your fingers. There we go. There's the bolt. And we'll pull that out. I'm going to go ahead and take your new component. First things first, go ahead and remove the nut and remove the plastic cover protecting the boot. Next thing, go ahead and grab the original bolt, put that through, and then put it through the new one. Now what we want to focus on here is, if you look, the original one is longer, and the factory one or the new replacement part is either going to be shorter or longer. In most cases, it's not going to match up. You want to go ahead and make sure that you loosen your jam nuts here. So if they're all the way up here, you're just going to spin those up. And make sure you have adjustability here. Now the trick here is to make sure that this is as short as it can go, and you're going to feel that it's going to literally just come to a stop. Okay, and you can't rotate these, so make sure that as short as it is going to go. And we want that to be short for a reason. We're going to show you when we go to install it. Good, feed this up into place. Go ahead and get that bolt in there. I'm going to go ahead and feed my socket and extension up in there. Now I did run that bolt through the wire wheel machine to go ahead and clean the threads up. Now I don't want to tighten this. I want to make sure that this arm, a good way to test it if it's too tight is if you tighten it and the arm stays up. You want to make sure that is loose. Let's go ahead and install the other end. Go ahead and adjust the stud here. Work that down inside. Install the nut. All right, let's go ahead and tighten that down. All right, let's go ahead and snug it down and then we'll torque it. Now I have my jack underneath my control arm and knuckle area here. I'm gonna go ahead and raise this to what we call the neutral ride height position. And a neutral ride height is basically if we had the wheels on the vehicle and it was on the ground, it would compress our suspension to where it would be in its neutral ride height on the road. Without a wheel, we're gonna use our jack to take the place of the wheel and compress our suspension until the vehicle just starts to come off of our lift. And then once we have that, we're going to tighten the inboard bolt. All right, there we go. All right, let's snug this down gently. Let's go ahead and torque the inboard bolt to 111 foot-pounds. That is 111. Let's torque down this nut to 59 foot-pounds. Setting your preliminary alignment. I'm going to go ahead and grab a tape measure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the length from where the welded rod is here. And I'm going to come straight up to the center right here. And on our particular vehicle, we're just about 10 inches and 3/16. I'm going to go ahead and adjust our rod on our vehicle to go ahead and get this base setting. That's a preliminary alignment. When you alter a suspension or replace a suspension component, you need to have the vehicle professionally aligned. That's going to help prevent premature component wear as well as tire wear. Now we're going to use our 22 millimeter wrench and we're going to adjust this to extend this out. And then you use your tape measure. Okay, we're pretty much spot on right there. I'm going to go ahead and spin the jam nuts down. Let's go ahead and tighten these down. Now these are 22 millimeter. You can go ahead and snug those down. They don't have to be super tight right now. You do want to make sure that they're snug because you are going to be going down to get alignment done. I do like to go ahead and make sure that my tie rod end here is centered, so I'll now grab the adjuster and just rotate that up. Make sure that's nice and level plane. Let's now go ahead, lower and remove our jack. Now if you're doing this job, you can go ahead and repeat this process for the driver's side. Once you get that completed, you can go ahead and install your wheels. At that point there, you're all set. Grab your wheel, line it up onto the studs, get those lug nuts started, and once we have them all started, we'll go ahead and snug them down. When tightening these down, it's best if you tighten them down in a crisscross pattern or star pattern. Now you can go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. Now preferably, you want to go ahead and do these in a crisscross pattern. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.